Good morning, and welcome back for Tuesday training. Man, it is a beautiful day here in Austin, Texas. I got to tell you, I hope you're experiencing some good weather too. There's, nothing like good weather to lift you up, get you some sunshine, make you feel great in the morning. And I'm definitely soaking up some today. So we are excited. We got a great guest coming on today. I'm telling you, we got a great guest. This gentleman was back at Syndicate HQ for our grand opening a few weeks ago and got to talk about what we're going to bring to the group today. But before we jump in that, I got one article I want to show you guys, and I've talked about this a lot. Rebecca Davis has been talking about it, but the unwinding of Medicaid is coming. So I pulled this from Kaiser Family Foundation. It was actually published on the 9th. And again, if you're in the healthcare space, and especially if you're in the Medicare space, Kaiser Family Foundation is a phenomenal source of news. You can follow them on Facebook. You can look them up on Google, and you can pull great articles, stats, trends, statistics. They go over a ton of stuff. It should definitely be one of your top news sources. But I wanted to point out a couple of items in this article regarding the redetermination period that's coming up for Medicaid. It's a lengthy article. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. They get a lot of insight from beneficiaries who are enrolled in Medicaid and kind of what they're going to experience. But at the bottom down here, there's a little section called Looking Ahead that I want to mention to you. And it basically says, hey, after a 3-year pause, states will resume Medicaid disenrollments beginning April 1st. So all current Medicaid enrollees, I'm going to say that again, all current Medicaid enrollees will undergo a redetermination over the next 12 to 14 months. And unlike during the past 3 years, enrollees could be disenrolled if they are no longer eligible or if they do not complete the renewal process. So if you have clients, whether they're Medicare clients that are also on Medicaid, or you have ACA clients that are on Medicaid, you need to be reaching out to them and hopefully reminding them that, hey, their Medicaid could be on the chopping block, and they need to go through that redetermination period to see if they can get what level of Medicaid reestablished for them. It goes on to say, that while there are federal rules and guidelines about enrollment and renewal processes, how Medicaid enrollees will be affected will vary across states because, again, Medicaid is a state entitlement program. It's managed by the states, not the feds. So it'll vary across states because of differences in renewal policies, outreach and communication strategies, and in the capacity of staff to handle the volume of renewals. State policy choices on how those policies are implemented will be important factors in how many still eligible enrollees are able to retain Medicaid or transition to other sources of coverage if they're not eligible. And if you're out there, whether you're in the ACA or the Medicare space, right, whether these people lose full Medicaid or they lose some portion of Medicaid, you should know that creates a special election period for them so that you can get them properly enrolled into the right plan, right? This is especially true for those of you out there in the Medicare space. If you got some dual eligibles, you definitely need to be giving them a heads up that, hey, there's a redetermination process we got to go through. And if you lose Medicaid, that's going to give you a 60-day SEP, special election period, where we can go find you the proper plan and get you fixed up, right? And then, of course, if they completely requalify for Medicaid, then no big deal. They're able to keep moving on. But that kicks off April 1st in Texas. So if you're in Texas, get ready. Most of the other states are kicking off April 1st. I think a few of them have got a little ahead of the curve and got a little early start on it. But again, that's the big news that everybody needs to be paying attention to. But without further ado, the gentleman that I'm bringing on to you guys today to talk to and kind of present the CHAMP and group insurance opportunity is an outstanding individual. He is a CEO of Affordicare Insurance, comes out of the Dallas, Texas area. Amazing person to be around. If you ever get the chance, if you're at an event, or maybe if you're back down at Syndicate HQ for one of our events that we're hosting over the years, and this gentleman shows up, you need to make sure you spend some time with him. His knowledge of the marketplace, his knowledge of the business in general is outstanding, and he's just really a great steward, a great example to business. So we're going to bring on Mr. Stephen Guilfoile and get to know him a little bit. What is going on, Stephen?
What's up, Tony? Thanks for having me.
Man, thank you for joining.
Who your writers are. I need a couple hype man around me to follow me around. So
that would be fun. You don't need that though. I mean, you have a purple McLaren, you have a mint green Tesla. I think those are hype enough when I see you driving those things around. I noticed that after you left Syndicate HQ from being down here in Austin, You had a new sticker on the back of your Tesla car. Somebody snuck a sticker on there for you.
In Texas, we call it vandalism, but drove down for about a month or so, and turns out I was repping Medicare Misty for about a month on it. So
very smooth. She came in there and slapped a sticker on the back of your car, let you go around and advertise.
And there's no way I'd be more happy to do it for either. So
absolutely, man. So I know you're up in the Dallas area. Where exactly are you located at?
Well, we have 4 offices in DFW, and actually we're hoping to have one in another one in Austin too, so we can actually have lots. So basically,
fantastic.
In any major city in DFW, you'll be able to find us.
And you have numerous offices around the country. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're just getting up to about 60 across the country.
Ooh, those are all Affordicare brand offices, basically. And just to help everybody kind of bring them up to speed, because I know some people know who you are, some people have no clue who you are. What is Affordicare?
So we're very kind of niche in what we do. We basically do major medical group insurance, and then this plan that we're going to be talking about today. So on purpose, we do so little to make sure that the amount of people that we can partner with and work with, that we're not overlapping or taking anything away. So again, like when you deal with a business, there's a lot of needs that they have, right? And I think when you come to that, if you get really good at one thing, I think you add way more value than saying I can do 5 things kind of well. And so we try to match with the best people in the industry, just like you guys, and find ways that, again, if we're going through a business and let's say they need or a trucking company and they need workers' comp and things like that. We don't know how to do that, but we know a lot of people and would love to know people who do know and be able to bring us in as a kind of a true package.
Awesome. So we got a lot of agents tuning in, listen to this. If an agent was interested, right, and they were about what we're about to show them, is there a specific target agent? Like, is there a certain agent that you think should be paying attention to this more than another one?
Yeah, I would say there's basically two different people that are going to be a really good fit. So the first one is people that are already in the group space. And if you're in the group space, you know what I'm talking about, where it's way, way different than like an individual Medicare agent, an individual, supplemental agent. Like the amount of difference between the products, how you prospect people is immensely different. Like there's really not a thing where you can buy group leads to the extent that you can buy them for like life leads, for example. So it's much more of a relationship type sale. Mm-hmm. And so while I say that it's pretty much people that are already doing it, everyone knows somebody that kind of knows somebody that babysit their dog's cat and went to prom with their cousin's nephew that maybe owns a company that you maybe have a relationship with. And so it's much more so of who you know. And if you know somebody, then we, of course, have the ability to kind of work with you and potentially open some doors up that way, too.
Makes sense. How long have you been running Affordicare?
So this will be our 13th year. And every year is just, you find so much more what you don't know. And then again, the people, again, like you guys are the perfect an example, Tony, is that when you do right by people, you network with people, you bring all the right people in your circle. I mean, look at how much it's grown. And again, we've tried to do as much of that as possible, is again, finding who we can work with versus instead of trying to find competition, finding any common ground. And so it allows us to work with just about anybody in the whole country, even and especially other group medical people.
Okay. So 13 years running Affordicare, has that been your entire insurance career, or were you doing some insurance stuff prior to that?
Yeah, well, the only thing prior to this was some individual door knocking, kind of door to door, accident, cancer stuff that, again, most people kind of cut their teeth on. And of course, it kind of grew. And at the end of the day, when people said, well, we're insurance poor, we can't afford this, it's ultimately at the core of it, which is their employer who's, ultimately, not providing a good policy, and a lot of things we can do to help that.
Yeah, door to door, I can relate with that. That's how I cut my teeth, was slinging cancer treatment policies door to door. So I know where you're coming from there.
Yeah. No, it's the call it the Navy SEALs of insurance. If you can do that and go with no lead or no intro on there and just get in people's houses within about a couple of minutes and walk out with the check, that's about as good as it gets.
That's a skill set for sure. So 13 years running Affordicare. I heard a statistic once related to the market share size that Affordicare possesses in the group space. And I don't want to say the number because I may be very wrong, but I'm curious, if Affordicare has a certain market share of the group space, how big is that?
Well, what do they say? About 80% of all stats are made up. But for the 20% that's not. So right now on the what's called the level funded market, and effectively what this is, it just means that it's groups that are kind of in mid space that kind of partially self-insure with a stop loss. All it just simply means is that the group has the ability to get money back at the end of the year if they don't use their claims and they have a stop loss or protection insurance in place if they do. So with certain carriers, we're over 25% of the entire national country as the footprint of all premiums collected. And again, this is through, all of our agents, all of our partners, all of our producers. And so again, there's a lot more people than just me, but it is a amazing journey that it's taken to get there. And I think that shows, again, the value that we can also reciprocate relationships and people we already work with as well. So
fantastic. What kind of premium does that look like on an annual basis?
It's got some commas in it for sure. Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, we got some slides that we want to run through and make sure everybody understands what we're talking about and kind of the opportunity, which you had presented two of them to me. Is there one specific that you want to go through first?
Let's do. I'm trying to think. That's a good question, Tony, because let's do the power, the side by side one first, because I think what that does is I think it sets a really good stage for the immense kind of value of what we're talking about. So again, this is purely on the group space. Again, this is nothing to do with individuals. So again, this is something that I feel like is not a fit for everybody. And when you kind of look at the numbers and kind of some of the commissions and stuff, it's really designed for kind of your highest echelon level of agent, of connections, of people like that they know. But what you're seeing here is effectively what we're going to what we get to at the end. And it basically shows the difference between a fully insured plan and what a partially self-funded plan or a level funded plan looks like. And it simply just shows an example where, and again, it could be any carrier where, again, traditionally how insurance companies work, as you guys know, even with like the cancer insurance we used to pitch, right? You pay a premium, they pay claims, and nothing happens if you don't use it. It's kind of, if you don't use it, you lose it. And so with group health insurance, what's changed is because I think you guys in the PNC industry kind of understand this, where you guys have seen a thing where it's like if you get a fender bender and you can patch it up with duct tape and you don't need to report it to your insurance, you get a much better favorable renewal. And you're thinking about that renewal every year, right? Every speeding ticket, every accident, someone's paying for it. It goes towards something. And so with this, we're trying to help make the employees healthier and help offload claims. And so when you do that, there's less claims that ultimately hit your major medical plan and thus increase your renewal. So this just shows a renewal that we had that went up about, over 10%, and showing being able to do the same network, carrier, doctors, co-pays, deductibles, and what that would do when you basically fund it differently. And so that was basically about a 16% or $100,000 savings by just changing the way that you pay your premium and the company behind it. And then on the main topic of this call will be this Champion Health box that you see here. And that box on the right is basically offloading and mitigating and resending these claims not to Cigna, but to actually Champ. And so it's taking care of all your annual services, your teledoc, your primary care, urgent care, your prescriptions, and all that has a phenomenal impact on your renewal, meaning that now only your small and your medium claims are hitting Champ, and your huge claims like your broken arms, your cancers are hitting for what it's actually meant to do. So end of the day, we're doing, when you factor that in, and then you factor in what Champ saves in terms of taxes and increase in their paycheck, it's another $58,000 plus another $66,000, as you can see, for that company and the employee in the middle of the screen. And then finally, because again, this $531,761 that premium cost for Cigna, it's now part of that dollar is actually able to be refunded if it's not used. So this particular group had another $274,000 sent back as a check to this group of unused premiums that were partially absorbed by Champ and partially done because of how much healthier the employees were with Champ.
So that 275,000, that's going back to the employees, basically, right?
The 274,000 is a check that actually went back to the company.
To the company, okay.
So at the end of the day, we're talking would have been on that renewal premium for the Blue Cross, $632,000 a year for a premium, again, for about 50 people, now dropping to $131,000. So it's over $500,000 savings with what we're talking about for 50 freaking people. So what we're going to show you is going to show how we get to this. But this is, again, every group that has employees, 1099 or W-2 alike, will have this opportunity that most people have never even seen or heard from before.
Okay. I just want to make sure that I want to break this little slide down real quick, right? So the company, the group, they currently had Blue Cross Blue Shield. And in this particular scenario, you replaced them with Cigna, and then you added on Champ as a secondary item. Champ's not replacing Cigna. It's in addition to Cigna. Is that correct?
You got it.
Perfect. Just want to make sure everybody's on the same page. And then obviously down there, you see the total cost savings a little over $500,000. It's hard to believe a company would not be excited about that.
Well, and that's so the challenging thing is what we do and kind of the inner workings of it. The easy part is basically getting a yes. So there's pros and cons to it for sure.
Understood. Well, we got somebody that's going to jump out, but they're going to come back later. They did say this is an amazing opportunity. Guys, as we get into this, we're going to dive into some more slides and really go through this situation with you, or this opportunity. Any questions you got, please put them up in the comments, whether you're an anonymous Facebook user or we know who you are, we'll make sure we address them. But we want to jump to that secondary set of slides. Is that right, Steve?
Go for it. Yeah.
You got it. All right, here we go.
All right. So again, this is more speaking kind of for the agent kind of perspective here, but just to let you know, like, again, and we talked about this when I saw you guys a couple of weeks ago, is that when you're doing a single phone call, a single door knock, you're getting a single, commission, you're helping one person. With this, it allows us to help hundreds, if not thousands, tens of thousands of people per yes that we get, right? So coming with 10,000 employees, you get one yes, and you're effectively enrolled. You're getting paid on 10,000 people. And so the numbers that we're talking about here are actually, this was through even the first week of February. So we're talking about a month and a week so far of where these numbers are based on, and we'll update them for the middle of March. But when you get to this point, this is the amount of money our agents and our whole team through, again, a couple of different products, whatever, are making this year. So the opportunity on this on a residual basis is tremendous. So we'll
this is just for 2023.
This is for basically 1 month of 2023.
It's only March.
The difference though on this is that it is deceiving again. So also we'd say the numbers, the numbers are great. But again, realizing that the people that are doing this have put years and time of relationships and foundation and basically built their status of who they are in the community and things like that. So again, it's not something where you get out, your brother owns, some huge company, and then you just basically make money. There's a lot of work that goes into this. So it's not to take anything away from them, but it's just to say that this is a kind of opportunity that doesn't really exist on the individual market. And it's for a very select few kind of group of people. So
understood.
So bottom line is this, the Champ Plan is a product that we have at AffordaCare. And the beauty of this is that, again, there's really no company that we can or can't work with. This is as dream as big as you want kind of thing. So again, we work with companies as small as 25 and as high as, in the hundreds of thousands. And that at the end of the day, again, it's all about partnerships. It's all about, that not only the different brands, the different like payroll that we work with, different CPA firms, legal offices, tax firms are all really good places because they're an influence of the business as it is. And so being able to kind of integrate and work with what we do is a big deal. We have a really big conference for a lot of group stuff is SHRM. And so we've done a lot of meetings there, have had crazy good reviews. And this is basically world headquarters effectively of what HR people see and what they in the marketplace. They go there to kind of see where the best products are. And of course, with the influence they have, it's a really, really big tool that we have, that if you guys are looking good in the group space, it's a great organization to go from there.
Okay.
If you've gone to any cowboy games, you've probably seen our stuff as well. And then just an endless amount of testimonials from, former people that we used to work for at the IRS saying that this is the greatest thing ever, to, large companies. And it is just an incredible opportunity when you see this, and we'll get right into it. So at the core essence of it, all you're doing when you do a group plan is you're doing something called a section 125. And it just means that any benefit that you as the employer offer the employees, you get to effectively kind of pre-tax that, right? So it's why if you do a 401k, that even though you're paying money into this account, your employer is actually saving FICA tax and you're saving taxes because it's lowering the amount of taxable income that you get. Anything you want to kind of add to that, Tony, or does that?
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. I'm with you.
All right. So when you do this, all you really need to know is that the employer will always make money with anything that they put in. So again, you fund an HSA, you fund a 401k, you fund health insurance where the employee is paying for it. It's lowering every dollar that the employer then has to match of FICA, which just for the number's sake is 7.65%. And then the employee usually wins too, because even though there may be a cost associated with that plan, they're also going to reduce what they pay in taxes as well. So it's again why HSAs are a great option, because then you haven't lost money, you've just moved money and your taxes are lowered there. So this has been going around since the 1970s. What makes this different, which makes this different than even other wellness plans out there, is because other wellness plans were kind of saying, hey, we'll pay you, $10 if you go, do 10 push-ups, or if you, take some kind of questionnaire that, will make you feel better about yourself. And so what we're doing is we're actually paying these people on a medical basis, and actually it's providing a net win for the employer and the employee. So we'll get to that in a second. When we talk about the group, though, if you remember back to that first slide, we're trying to prevent claims from ever hitting their major medical plan, and we're trying to make them overall healthier. So we're doing this in two ways. One, we're helping offload the actual claims themselves, which we'll get to, but most importantly, it's helping become aware for the employee of what they're actually doing. So one really cool thing that we have is an FDA registered technology that allows the employee, when they first enroll in this, to take their front facing camera of their phone, and since your skin is translucent, actually generate your heart rate, your blood pressure, your risk of having a stroke, your age of your freaking age of your skin, and your body mass index, your hip to weight ratio, an insane amount of data that's almost more accurate than most commonly used, Fitbits or things like that. And so at the end of the day, we're getting an actual life score, kind of like a safe driver credit score, like a car app, right? That says, here's your actual risk as you as a person, and here's your overall score as an individual, and here's the dollar amount that it actually relates to your spend on your major medical. And so you have this as an individual, and then also as a group. So you can actually see how your group is trending as an owner, which conditions like obesity and strokes might be on the rise, and ways to combat that before they even happen.
Higher the number, better, right?
Higher
scores, better.
So on this group, they're trending up. And so this is what's going to allow us to actually argue and get better rates on groups as well. So when we talk about the reason we make up such a large market with a lot of the main carriers in this field, is that we have so much data that other people and other brokers don't. And so we can not only argue that case better, but we can, again, be more assistive with that group to say, here's things we can do a year before, so we're not struggling, there's no surprises. The other thing is, again, those offloading of claims. And because of that, we've gone almost 5 years with, I'd say probably over 95% of our groups not seeing an increase, and actually seeing a reduced premium or money back at the end of each year. And that's just how powerful that this is.
So that just real quick, that app and some of those, I guess, rewards, if you will, right, are geared towards preventative care, right, to help people proactively take better care of themselves so that they're not seeing the claims later, the larger claims, the catastrophic type claims.
Yeah, exactly. So we're doing two things. This slide talks about what we're offloading immediately for 100% of the population, but those other slides are basically showing what are we being aware of, so then maybe that heart attack 5 years from now never happens. And the best example I can kind of give you is like when you go on, let's say, Credit Karma. Just because you downloaded it doesn't mean that you get a better credit score, but it says, hey, if you paid these 2 cards off, or if you allocated this or did this, then your score could simulate and go up. This is doing the same thing, saying, hey, if you walked, 1 mile a day for the next 20 years, what is that going to do to your weight? What's going to do your blood pressure? And so you can daily check in, and the ability, again, that this has to kind of give you, again, like your blood pressure, your risk of disease, your efficiency of your heart, if you have irregularities in your heart rate, things like that. These are kind of live check-in things that aren't requiring you to go across town, book an entire visit, and all the stuff, and you can actually do it right there, and it keeps track of all your data so you can actually see how you're improving.
Is that proprietary technology?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So just we thought of everything, right? So the cool thing with this is why an employee does this is they're going to receive unlimited $0 copays for all their small and their medium claims. So they get all their preventive visits done. And this is irrelevant if they have major medical in force. A lot of groups we work with might have hundreds, if not thousands of employees, but only maybe 20% of the population actually gets benefits or actually has money to afford it or whatever that may be. So this is giving and guaranteeing that every single W-2 would have access to this without them actually paying out of pocket for it. So we're talking about their urgent care, the primary care visits, the prescriptions for the whole family on this, that they can all go in and use them without, one, ever touching their major medical, and two, if they don't have it, the ability for a zero copay instead of copays. And then there's 2 really cool things that we do, just kind of like how an employee that works at like a Fortune 500 company would. You have that employee that has, the doctor that they can actually walk down the street and see and meet and kind of have that relationship with, right? These doctors are not, again, taking away from the family doctor that they might already use, but this direct primary care and the direct mental health are going to allow the employee to access any one of these or more issues, like maybe even their kids that are getting bullied at school, or if they're maybe going through marriage counseling, or maybe one of their kids has an ear infection. All these things can be done virtually on their phone and with that single point of contact that doesn't necessarily change as they grow through the company. So it's kind of a really kind of sticky golden handcuffs that employer has as a benefit to their employee. So how we basically make this whole thing work and how it becomes a win-win for everybody is that we simply just go back to the employee and say, if you'd like these benefits here and you'd like an increase in pay, this is what we're going to ask you to do. You're going to be sent a link. You're going to create that profile or like that face scanner thing that we just talked about. And then every quarter or so, you're going to go through and we're going to send you a prompt. And these are actions that are going to be done that's directly based as a medical event. So again, you could do these things in a doctor's office, except now, of course, we're living in 2023 with the amount of technology we have that allows you to be treated by a doctor virtually, allows us to do about 400 some CPT codes that are part of what you can see here. So again, a biometric screener, coaching with an RN, different things about maybe like losing weight or stopping smoking based on the age of the person, what things they're already dealing with in their health score, that they can be kind of sent selective personalized things. So all this just means is they go on and the actions are doing just like how, like even when you sold cancer insurance, Tony, when they get diagnosed, there's a specific CPT code. Mm-hmm. And we do the same thing here too. So we say there's this CPT code has been met. Here's your receipt. And this thing called an explanation of benefits is built in and it pays that out. So when it comes to their actual paycheck, what makes this truly the greatest, most amazing thing you've ever seen is that somebody, let's say on the left-hand side here who makes, and can you see my mouse on your end?
You can't see the mouse.
I'll just be very descriptive in what I'm looking at then. So the left-hand side paycheck, somebody makes $5,000 and they pay a little over $1,000 in taxes. During this month, we're going to call this the open enrollment period, and they've already gone on and they've already done these actions here. So there's basically what's called a medical insurance claim waiting to pay this person. So now we fast forward to the month after, and their gross pay still stays $5,000, but now we're going to basically bill them a self-funded pre-tax deduction, which is a fixed monthly amount per monthly paycheck of $1,200. That does two really good things. One, it reduces the amount that the employer pays in FICA, and we'll get to that in a second. And the second thing is it reduced what they are now paying in taxes in their end by about $320 less than the month before.
It's doing that because it's reducing their taxable income with that
and
125 deduction.
Exactly. You can see how like the 401k is blank or the other deductions like health insurance is blank. Any dollars you put in those columns would further reduce that, right? So this is just an additional, what's called a wrap of an existing 125 plan. All right. Now, because of those actions, remember we did the month before, simultaneously to that $1,200 deduction, the employee then gets a $1,010 medical insurance claim payment, just like a broken arm or a cancer claim that we talked about earlier, right? It's a fixed amount. It goes in there every single month, and it's based on them having done those actions. So the end of the day, what you're seeing here is an increase in their paycheck by about $135 more than the month before. And to run this math back, so on the top by the taxes there, so about $320 or so saved in taxes. The difference between the $1,200 and that $1,010 is $190. That's the premium, and that's how all those unlimited $0 copays, benefits, and things like that are funded. Okay. So when we get to the actual net take home, 320 minus 190 is about 135. And at the essence of the plan, the employee is actually making money to have this plan and have coverage for them and their family. Pretty freaking cool.
And their employees basically getting a raise, which in this particular scenario is somewhere just shy of $2,000 a year.
Yeah, exactly. And then of course the employer, right? They're saving that FICA. So there's that little S on the screen, at least on my screen, but it's effectively $1,200 at that 7.65%, which is this fixed $1,200 that we're taking out here on the pre-tax 125 deduction. So that amounts to $91 every single month in FICA savings. And after that admin fee for like the cost of the doctor, the TPA, the PBM, the formulators, and all the pieces that go into it, the employer is left with a profit of $47.80 that is not being paid out per person per month in FICA taxes forever. So these numbers get absolutely insane as they get going. And a small, I guess what we'll do, a smaller company. So for 150 people, there's technically 4 buckets that's being saved. There is the guaranteed FICA taxes at the $86,000. That is literally this much money that is not paid in taxes that the employer is keeping net per year, every year, forever.
Okay.
The employees of the $225,000 is getting a raise of nearly $250,000 that doesn't come from the employer. And the people that we partner with, these are savings that we allow kind of the whole community to feast on. So since we don't do anything else besides this, anybody that's maybe doing merchant processing with credit cards or for payroll or for life insurance or for fixed indemnity plans, all of these dollars here are used and can be shared to buy anything else that this employee wants to spend it on. And then finally, when it comes to their actual renewal, we've offloaded every COVID test, urgent care, primary care visit, doctor visit, urgent care, mammogram, colonoscopy that's now never hit their major medical. And so the $720 per employee per year, we've offloaded that. And so now it's, again, a profound impact on the renewal and especially on the money that they potentially get back if they have a self-funded plan. So we're looking at 2 used Lamborghinis as fleet vehicles, or about $400,000 a year forever, that this group is basically instantaneously and forever saving, and basically everyone benefiting across the board.
Is a Lamborghini allowed as a fleet vehicle?
I think with some creative tax people, I'm sure you could find a way. And I know if you put some concrete stuff, make it over that 6,000 pound rule, and I know you can definitely get a write off on that for sure.
How much does the Urus weigh? Maybe not quite that much.
I think that they're still trying to go for speed on that, so I think they're a little short, but you can do some cool stuff with it. Either way, so again, smaller group, and the easier way to look at this is probably between the employer and the employee. It's roughly just over about $2,000 a year, kind of as just kind of a flat number off the top of your head. And then, of course, we work with bigger companies too. Same exact numbers, same math. But again, this company is almost $250 million a year, and we'll get that forever. So the amount of value that you can bring to people that maybe you've never had an ability to, like, I know we were talking that like, no way I could go to some of these companies that we had on the screen before and say, there's no way I could walk in and sell them a term life policy or try to sell them a accident policy or, even do Medicaid with them. Right. But when you're doing something like this, it opens the door for literally any group you could possibly imagine overnight, day one. So that's really, I think we can really cover today. But at the end of the day, the only thing that we're really doing is we're getting a basic census that is their name, their income, and the state that they live in, that allows us to do a full proposal and actually have each and every employee to the penny simulate that almost identical to what you guys were seeing on the paycheck slide. So we'd show the employer, say, this is each employee, they're increasing their pay. This is the math, how we got there, proving that it actually is the exact take-home increase they'll see. And then from there, we can do over 300,000 people a month is what our current enrollment team can handle. We basically have the ability to reach out, do either Zoom meetings, in-person meetings, inbound or outbound with that. And then we set it all up with their existing payroll. We have direct EDF feeds with every single major payroll company in the country. So basically the employer doesn't do any heavy lifting. It's just a new benefit that they'd have alongside a dental plan or whatever else. And effectively they see do the work the first month and they get the savings the next month without any contract coverage that they need to replace or move over. They keep the same broker, they keep the same relationship. They're just adding this as a new benefit that they didn't have before. So that's all I got, Tony. But if you want to ask anything else or whatever, I'm here. And again, I greatly appreciate the time on the call. And tell Joe I said hi too, looking through your window there.
Yeah, he's down here advising us to just add some custom parts on that Lamborghini to get it over the right weight class, so that we can claim it as a fleet vehicle. Well, man, thank you for coming on. This has been fantastic. Guys, I'm going to give them a couple more minutes and we'll chat. If you have any questions, go ahead and drop them in there and we'll get those answered for you. But this is obviously seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah, I mean, it's the reason is that, a lot of times people just aren't aware of the things that happen, right? I mean, there's so many things that are out there meant for business owners that maybe they just don't have that relationship. Again, like it's the same reason that we love working with Medicare people, because with a group, when they have all these employees on, what's crazy is like when they turn 65, it has a unbelievable detrimental effect on the premiums for their major medical. And working with people that know Medicare, that we like and trust, and we know that's going to be a great avenue for us, we can offload those people and send them over to people that we work with Medicare. And it's like the thing was like, it's like something insane. Like it's like each person we take off Medicare, and some groups have taken $5,000 or $7,000 of their annual premium, their monthly premium off by the risk that's now being avoided and taken off. So it's like it's things like that one, working together is so important, but two, business owners don't know what they don't know, and it takes somebody who is a master of their crafts to really kind of deliver that message in a way that you guys do a great job with.
Understood. We did have one quick question pop in. Facebook user 101. How do we sign up to offer this product? What kind of commission are we looking at? I don't know if we want to get into all of that on this show, but I would say if anybody's interested in looking deeper into that, like what's the best way for them to get a hold of you, Steve?
Yeah. If you want to even just put my email in there, or in however that would be, it's just Steve@AffordicAreInsurance.com.
Steve@AffordicAreInsurance.com.
or you can go to affordedcareinsurance.com and you can put a little thing there to get a hold of somebody to contact you. But yeah, we can touch on that a little bit. So basically the starting street level on this is right about $60 a year per person per life that you sign up. So I got to do the math on this again now, but basically for each life on there. So again, a group of, 10 people would pay $600, right? And again, companies that are in the, tens of thousands are, as you can see, in the millions a month, right? So it's 100% residual. There's no, it is a direct contract that is paid directly by the carrier, by our TPA. So there's no middle person involved with that. There's also all the training, the presentations, the questions, whatever. We handle all the post enrollment. So again, the phone calls, the where's my ID card, everything else. It's effectively what you would be doing initially, just setting up that initial meeting, that initial edification of that. And then from there, your training would be seeing the whole process unfold before your eyes and really utilizing you in that relationship that obviously you have with that person to get them on the call.
Makes sense. Just to remind them that email is Steve, not Steven, just Steve, right?
Yep.
Steve at affordacareinsurance.com. Hit him up if you got some more questions on that. Man, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on to share this. Again, guys, as always, these calls that we do, these Tuesday trainings, they're recorded. So this will live in the group if you want to come back and re-review it. Or if you have other people that you think need to be watching this, just point them over to the video. And then eventually it'll get pushed out to YouTube, even Spotify, where people can listen to it and see it further and reference it. So Joe was nice enough to drop that email in there for you. So there we go, Steve at affordacareinsurance.com. If you guys got some questions, give the man a holler. Where are we going to see you at soon? Are you going to be at the 8% Nation Conference? You got any events coming up this year?
Just about one every week, but yeah, I will be at 8%, and that's actually where it goes back to the glory days where I first met you, Tony. So
absolutely,
come full circle, and it's really cool of what you guys have done and just the community you've built here. I'm so grateful to be part of it, and you guys keep it up.
Oh, thank you so much, man. We love having you to be a part of it and certainly supporting us. So thank you, guys. Thanks again for tuning in. It's been another fantastic Tuesday training. Hope you got some nuggets. If you got some more questions on AffordaCare or the Champ Plan, give the man a call or shoot him an email real quick. And as always, we are here every Tuesday, 9 a.m. for Tuesday training, trying to bring you some good content so you can further yourself in the insurance space. And next week, don't forget to tune in because we're going to have Andrew Lee from Los Angeles, California on. I suspect we're going to talk about dental because this is a guy that's made over $100,000 just adding dental to his portfolio. So if you want to learn how to make some extra cash, join us next Tuesday and we'll have Andrew Lee on. Until then, thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you next week.